33% approval rating is all the Biden admin can muster. It's even lower among independents. And are Hispanics fleeing the Democrat Party in droves? Welcome to Old Foundry Media. I'm your host, the Crane Man. Let's fire it up. Things aren't looking so well for the Biden administration, as we can see in this headline from the Post-Millennial. Joe Biden's approval rating plummets to 33%. A new Quinnipiac University poll released on Wednesday revealed that Joe Biden's approval rating sits at just 33%, with 53% of Americans disapproving of his job performance. This is down from the last time Quinnipiac asked the question in November, when 36% of Americans approved, while 53% disapproved. Of those that disapproved, a whopping 43% said they strongly disapprove of his job performance. 17% said they strongly approve, 16% said they somewhat approve, and 10% said they somewhat disapprove. A notable amount of Democrats have flipped their stance on Biden's job approval, with 75% approving and 14% disapproving in the recent poll. In November's poll, 87% approved and 7% disapproved. This article from the Daily Mail provides further details about the same poll. It says, among independents, Biden's approval is at just 25%, with 57% disapproval. But Biden's most let down demographic seems to be Hispanics. Only 28% of Hispanics approve of the job Biden is doing as president. Though Trump made significant inroads with Latinos in the 2020 election, a safe 70% still went for Biden. Women were far more likely to approve of Biden than men, a 26% versus 40% difference. Black Americans were the most likely to approve of Biden's handling of the presidency. 57% of them did. Meanwhile, 32% of white adults approved. Notably, young people were the hardest on the president. Only 24% of 18 to 34-year-olds approved of Biden's job as president, while 43% of those over 65 felt the same. Perhaps Biden has sunk so low because in July of 2021 he said this.
Our experts believe, and the data shows, that most of the price increases we've seen were expected and are expected to be temporary.
But what is actually happening in reality right now is this.
Tonight, the alarming spike in inflation soaring to its highest level in nearly 40 years, casting a shadow over America's entire economy.
Or maybe people are upset about this.
We are looking at a winter of severe illness and death for unvaccinated, for themselves, their families, and the hospitals they'll soon overwhelm.
I wonder if it could be this.
You're okay. You're not going to get COVID if you have these vaccinations.
Our vaccines are working exceptionally well, but what they can't do anymore is prevent transmission.
Or because he said this today, January 13th of 2022.
This pandemic, this is a pandemic of the unvaccinated.
Even though, again, his own CDC director has said this.
Our vaccines are working exceptionally well, but what they can't do anymore is prevent transmission.
This article covers the same Quinnipiac poll from before. The headline reads, plurality of Americans believe Biden is dividing the country, rather than uniting it, poll finds. Hear me out here. Maybe, just maybe. I'm just guessing, a shot in the dark. It could be just a little bit related to this.
I will not yield. I will not flinch. I will defend the right to vote, our democracy against all enemies, foreign and, yes, domestic.
And this.
They're killing people. I mean, it really, look, the only pandemic we have is among the unvaccinated. And they're killing people.
And this.
In the words of Scripture, they remind us to hate evil.
But wait, there's more. In this next set of clips, Biden will equate anyone who disagrees with his push for a federal takeover of our elections to segregationists, white supremacists, and Confederate government officials. First up, Biden says,
Do you want to be on the side of Dr. King or George Wallace?
Martin Luther King Jr.'s most recognizable quote is the one in this image. The reason this quote has that status is because it echoes the idea written in the Declaration of Independence, that all men are created equal. Do you think the modern left uses Dr. King's words as guidance here? How about in this NIH medical article, which equates one's skin color to having a parasitic infection? Or do you think that sounds more like this guy? George Wallace was an American politician, member of the Democratic Party, and is best remembered for his staunch segregational values. Wallace served as governor of Alabama until 1987. Wait, a Democrat was a staunch segregationist? Joe Biden is an American politician, member of the Democratic Party, elected to the Senate in 1973. Wait, so George Wallace and Joe Biden were contemporaries? Wallace was the Democrat governor of Alabama while Biden was a Democrat senator from Delaware? They served as elected officials in the same party for over a decade. Huh. Biden's next comparison is,
Do you want to be on the side of John Lewis or Bull Connor?
John Lewis is a recently deceased Democratic representative from the state of Georgia. He is well remembered as a prominent civil rights activist. Bull Connor was an American politician and member of the Democratic Party. He was a white supremacist who opposed the 1960 Civil Rights Act that John Lewis fought for. This comparison Biden made is of two Democrats who fought each other over opposing views. In his next comparison, Biden somehow achieves an even higher level of incoherence and hyperbole.
Do you want to be the side of Abraham Lincoln or Jefferson Davis?
This time, we will look at the latter mentioned figure. And we find Jefferson Davis was an American politician who served as president of the Confederacy. As a member of the Democratic Party, he served as a representative and a senator before the Civil War. Now, looking at Abraham Lincoln, we find that he was the first Republican to be elected president. We also see that he is the issuer of the Emancipation Proclamation, an executive order that changed the status of over 3.5 million slaves from enslaved to free. And where did Biden give this inflammatory and divisive speech? In Atlanta, the city that served as the industrial heart of the Confederacy. It was burned to the ground by General Sherman in an effort to cripple the Confederacy's ability to make war on the United States. Meet Senator Robert Byrd. He is the longest-serving U.S. senator in history. He was a Democrat and a recruiter and leader for the Ku Klux Klan. In the early 1940s, Byrd recruited 150 of his friends and associates to create a new chapter of the Ku Klux Klan in Sophia, West Virginia. Suddenly, lights flashed in my mind. Someone important had recognized my abilities. I was only 23 or 24 years old, and the thought of a political career had never really hit me. But strike me that night it did. Byrd became a recruiter and leader of his chapter. When it came time to elect a top officer in the local Klan unit, Byrd won unanimously. In this next clip, you'll see Joe Biden speaking at Byrd's funeral.
Every time I sat with a leader, I never called Senator Byrd Senator. I always called him leader.
If all that wasn't enough to make you start wondering about what effects the Democrats want their policies to actually have, let's look at something from the modern day. In this article, we see the vaccine mandates pushed by Democrats disproportionately affect Black Americans. Joe Biden supports these types of mandates. His government just argued in the Supreme Court in support of Biden's own mandates. These mandate policies have reinstituted segregation, but this time along medical lines. Even though the data shows this precise medical line they selected will affect Black people in a manner that is disproportionate to other races. It's interesting that a man who served in the same party at the same time of a, quote, staunch segregationist and, quote, unanimously elected leader of the KKK supports policies that disproportionately segregate Black people from larger society, under the guise of medical safety, even though his own CDC admits that vaccines do not stop transmission. I mean, what the hell have we let them do? Let me know in the comments how you feel about this. Also interesting is the idea that voter ID laws are racist. Here's an article from The Atlantic saying just that. Just so we are clear, the liberal hegemony's narrative is, It's not racist to require vaccine documentation, but it is racist to ask for ID to vote. As if that makes a lick of sense. In my opinion, it is more racist to assume that someone is incapable of acquiring an ID because of the color of their skin. Also, in my opinion, these next clips display further questionable behavior. First are Biden's comments about Obama. Then he dictates what color your skin is based on whether or not you support him.
I mean, you got the first sort of mainstream African American who is articulate and bright and clean and a nice-looking guy. I mean, that's a storybook, man.
If you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black.
I'll end with this image. If you've seen the video this image is from, you know how gross and cringe it is. I can't believe the spike in subscriptions I'm getting already. A huge thank you goes out from me to everyone subscribing on YouTube, Rumble, BitChute, and Odyssey. Special thanks to those of you who leave me comments. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed the content. This is the Crane Man, punching out.